but I also told you it was different. Uh-huh. I love it, Chris. That's the sound of a group called C-Force. And two members of C-Force are live in studio with me today. We're going to find out a little bit about C-Force and find out exactly what these folks do. My guest in studio today, Chris Justilian, musician, composer, leader of a band called Ambassa, leader of the Colors Jonquillo Group, head of the Department of the Visual and Performing Arts at the College of the Bahamas. Good afternoon, Chris.
Good afternoon, Ronald, and good afternoon, Bahamas.
How are you today?
Boy, I'm doing good.
I like Tiller. I told you I like Silent of the Sea, but I like Tiller.
I tell you.
Yes, pleasantly different.
Mm-hmm.
Little Bahamian rhythms in the background, but pleasantly different. Also in studio with me, Professor Dr. Christy Lee, who is a music lecturer at the College of the Bahamas. Dr. Lee, welcome to 1540 AM, 104.5 FM. You're speaking to the entire Bahamas now.
Good morning, Mr. Sims. How are you? It's such a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, don't be shy. Speak up.
Good morning, sir. Such a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, much better, much better. I know music lecturers are generally crazy people, so I know they know how to scream and shout, especially the teaching kids, huh?
Got that right.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Missing today is Dr. Christian Gangelhoff, who's the third member of the group C-Force. Chris, since most Bahamians know about you and who you are, I want to introduce them and allow Dr. Lee to tell us who she is, where she's from, what she's doing.
Well, I am originally from a small town in the state of Mississippi. I've been living in the Bahamas for almost 6 years now. I moved here in 2008 and began teaching at the College of the Bahamas. My background is as a classical pianist. I'm trained classically, and before moving here, the bulk of my career was spent as an opera coach. I was training opera singers and found out about a position here and was able to come, and 6 years later, here I still am, and we're having some good times over in the Department of Music at COB.
Don't you just love it here?
I kind of do. I've stayed, clearly.
Okay. You've got a friend visiting with you right now.
I do. This is a lovely friend of mine by the name of Rosemarie Richard. Rose and I met almost 2 years ago on a cultural exchange in Cuba. She's a music educator as well. She teaches high school band and choir in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. So I brought her along with me this morning so she could see how we roll here in Nassau.
Hello, Rose.
Hello, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Welcome to the Bahamas.
Thank you so much. I'm enjoying my time here.
Is this your first time?
Oh, it's my second.
Okay.
I was excited to come back.
Being with C-Force and being with Christy and Chris, and incidentally, all the names in the group C-Force are Chris, Christy, and Christine. That's where the C comes from. So do I take it that at some time in the not too distant future that we may perhaps see you down here as a part of the teaching force in the country?
Oh, that would be nice. I'd love to come back and do some teaching.
Wonderful. Well, I certainly hope that you enjoy your stay here.
Oh, I will. I will. Thank you.
All right, let's talk about C-Force. And in the first instance, I want to talk about C-Force, and in the second instance, a little later on in the program, I want to talk about what you're doing in the Visual and Performing Arts Department of COB.
Yes.
Chris, C-Force, why did it come about? Why did you feel it was necessary to bring the three C's together and create this wonderful music that you've been creating here?
Well, approximately 6 years ago, when Dr. Lee came in, we started the ensemble just to perform for our students, because I'm a firm believer that the best way to teach is by demonstrating what's possible on your instruments, your respective instruments. And we enjoyed each other's company so much, and making music together. And besides that, it kind of reintroduced me to a style of music that I used to perform in my early days in school in the States, chamber music and classical music.
Yes, because a lot of people don't know that you're actually a violin player.
Well, I used to play the violin for a time. That was many, many years ago. I've just picked it up again and trying to scratch a little bit with the Nassau Chamber Ensemble. But I think we just enjoyed playing together so much for our students that we decided to formally make it an ensemble. And since I'm Christian and we have Christy and we have Christine, the natural name for that was the C Force.
And that liking for each other, working together, creating these friendships, caused you to record your first CD some time ago, eh?
Yes, we decided that this music is just too good to let waste. We started doing ensemble work, and in fact, our ensemble is quite unique. I don't think you'll find an ensemble like it anywhere in the world.
Just that combination
The
is
combination,
certainly a little strange.
yes, euphonium, piano, and flute. There's no music written for that, so we found ourselves arranging a lot of our music, and I started to compose for our group, and that was a nice treat for me as well, to be able to compose in the classical Caribbean style, and bringing in some of the old Bahamian rhythms and rhythms from the other parts of the region.
Yeah, the works on these CDs kind of remind me of the works that Cleophas Adley used to do back in the late 80s with his Misa Caribe and that kind of stuff he did in
Yes.
his early days.
Yeah, Caribbean, Cari Classic, I
Yeah,
think he
yeah.
termed it, yes.
Christy, what do you want to add there?
Well, I would just agree that and sort of reiterate that we are very non-traditional. I spent about 10 years in a traditional chamber music group, which violin, cello, piano is a real typical chamber music type configuration. So when we met, we said, okay, we have a flute, we have a euphonium, and we have a piano. What can we make happen with this? And it was actually a really natural fit for a lot of repertoire, since we have a higher instrument and a lower instrument, and the nice timbres of the woodwind with the brass and piano has made a really wonderful fit. So it's been fun to explore repertoire. The things that are more traditional, I would say, are a hit, as well as the newer classical compositions. So a lot of our programs and the CDs show a mix of these different styles. And we're finding a lot of success in this exploration of repertoire, which has been a lot of fun to explore as a group together.
Chris, you said earlier that you find that one of the best ways to teach is by demonstration. Having played for your students and produced this CD, how did that impact your students? One, their view of you, their level of appreciation for the professionalism that you displayed. How did that impact them generally?
Well, I think it definitely made a positive impact on them, because a lot, I would say far too few of our educators really perform and play for the students. I don't believe and subscribe to chalk and talk. Music is something that you have to get out there and perform.
Let me stop you a minute. That's a very powerful term you said right there, that chalk and talk. And I think if we could cause teachers in general to appreciate that it has to be more than just chalk and talk to drive the messages home, but by the very demonstration of what they're trying to do through the chalk and the talk, I think we could reach a whole lot more people, eh?
Definitely, and I believe that spreads through all of the disciplines. If you're teaching cooking and you can't cook,
Yeah.
we got a problem. You have to be able to grab that pot, put the stuff in, and say, listen, here, taste this. And you let
This
me know.
what I want you to
yeah,
get to.
This is what I want you to do.
Yeah.
You see, we need to have all of our educators be more active in their respective fields. If you're an architect or an artist, I think it's good to be a practitioner as well. That's just my personal view. It creates really a sense of want, a need for those students to be at that level.
But this combination, that's really a different combination, piano, flute, and youth. You'll perhaps never find that anywhere else, playing collectively and creating this kind of wonderful sound.
We've had the good fortune of traveling all over the Caribbean and a couple of places in the United States, and people are just marveled at what we're able to do with that combination. It's quite challenging. I think I could boldly say it's challenging for me more than the others, because the euphonium is kind of the big mouth in the band. To play with a flute, is such a soft instrument, and being able to blend with the flute is quite challenging, especially at the upper register where the instrument gets kind of loud. But we've been able to do a good collaboration with the music that we are doing, and it's coming off quite well, and people are just feeling what we're doing.
Christy, do you want to add to that?
I would say I've had my share of challenges too. This Chris and these two Chris's here, I think we've pushed each other the most because, like I mentioned, I'm strictly a Westernly trained classical musician. So Caribbean rhythms and learning how to actually pull off goombay has not been the easiest step for me. And I think I've driven Chris a little nuts trying to figure out exactly how these syncopations work. So I've really been pushed outside of my box of classical training, and it has been an absolute honor to get to know different styles of music and really have the privilege of being able to leave some of these for a legacy for music and these CDs, because like you said, this type of chamber group doesn't exist as far as we know at all, and much less being able to preserve music from a region the way we're doing is extremely a wonderful privilege. Definitely.
Legacy indeed. I think what you're doing through your works is preserving some of the great works of past Bahamian composers. A number, for example, Balamina, which is a beautiful number that you don't get to hear anymore.
Yes.
So let's listen to it for a moment.
Great.